All right, welcome everyone to the Retrieval Market Builders demo day, every other week demo day. Today we have a short agenda, like a series of 3 demos, but I'm sure they will fill our schedule. And if we have minutes at the end, we can always use for catching up, updates, and so on. A little bit of housekeeping. We always recommend to post your questions on the shared Slack channel, just because then we can follow up async and not lose track of those conversations, which otherwise we would get lost on the Zoom chat. And so without further ado, we'll just go through the list of the demos that is on the doc, and starting with the Filecoin secondary retrieval market from the Pegasus team, proof of concept 2. Zhenyang, are you ready?
I will do the demo.
Okay. Yeah, I misunderstood. I thought. All right.
Yeah. Sorry, it was a last-minute change.
Go for it.
So, welcome everyone. So, what we have achieved currently is to create a protocol that allows a provider to publish a CID offer, and for a client to ask a gateway for these CID offers, and the gateway with our current discover mechanism, the gateway is able to retrieve the offer to the client. So last time we have made a demonstration with our unit test. So it was a complex demo. We have set many providers, many gateways to test the whole system. It was working, but it was not very graphical. So this time we will present you this demo, but the component will have now a CLI. So we will instantiate 4 terminals with 4 services, and we will just retrieve an offer with this demo and give you a quick update on our next steps. So the demo is in the GitHub link on the Drive documents, so you can reproduce it. It's not a very funny demo to reproduce, but it is working quite well. So at first, we start all our services, which means a gateway, a provider, a register. We also start Lotus full node. And now I start the client, the provider, the gateway, and the client. These are 3 admin clients that are connected to the real service set up by the Docker system. So at first, we need to initialize each service, which means that they will connect to their components. We have now a provider, a gateway, and a client. First, we need to register the different elements. The provider will register to say that he is now available. Same things for the gateway. The gateway will register. And now what we will do, we will publish an offer. On the provider. So it is a random offer. It is a list of a random list of CID. Am I able to paste it? No. Sorry. Yes, perfect. Now, 3 CIDs offer are published, and what the client will do, first, he will register an active gateway. Currently, he is able to see the registered gateway, but he doesn't have any gateway in his active list. Sorry, ls active. So what we will do, we will add an active gateway. It is registered here. It's like 3 seconds to do it. And now we are able to find an offer. So for that, we need to have a CID, for example, the first one. I will prevent this first character. And here we have the offer. So it means that a provider has published an offer, and through the gateway, through our discovery mechanism, the client was able to discover it. For the next step, everything you see is our service in Go. We are currently working on the JavaScript integration. So for the next demo, you will have an offer research, but with a graphical interface. That will mean that the JS integration is nearly ready. And after that, we have other steps to do. The real file retrieval. We are currently investigating on integrating libp2p to change the way we discover things after discussion with the protocol lab. So we are still working on it. And we have other features like making JavaScript clients for other services. And we hope to make you a demo of this soon. Thank you. The demo is over.
Fantastic. Thank you, Raphael. Well, I myself posted a couple of questions. Let's see if others also post. Let's just do as protocol and like follow through all the demos. And then if we still have time at the end, we do some Q&A live. Otherwise, we just follow async. All right. Thank you so much. Well, Thomas, are you ready for your demo?
Yep.
Go for it.
All right. Cool. So we've been kind of working on the developer experience of things, and really at the core is kind of this kind of friendly JavaScript SDK for interacting with the gateway and kind of caching content and retrieving content. So we kind of have a little sandbox that I built over the past few weeks just to like play around with the data and, you know, experience things. So I'm gonna demo this. Basically, it's connected. You can have the settings and say which gateway connected. So right now I'm connected to our public gateway, and I can kind of create my IPLD, construct my IPLD transaction that way. So it's kind of a way to say, okay, it's kind of a developer tool to try out different types of data structures and things like that. So for example, I can add a file here and add this. I'm adding a cat image, and then I might add like a black hole. All right, so I'm kind of setting, you know, files like this, and then when I'm ready, I can commit a transaction, which will be cached on the remote gateway. So when I have this is basically kind of my content is indexed into this root, and I can kind of unfold it. So then I see kind of, this is kind of a partial retrieval. So I'm kind of lazy loading the DAG, just, you know, in order to get the keys and seeing what's in there without retrieving all the content. And if I want to, I can kind of go deeper, and so I can see what the size of the content is and things like that without retrieving everything, which makes it easier. So for example, I can inspect what the username and retrieve those fields individually and things like that. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on a different node, which I'm running locally. So I'm updating it, and I'm actually going to query all the content from this using a paid retrieval. So my local node has already FIL loaded. I can set the maximum price per byte that I want, which means that I won't allow any offers above 5 autofills. And then when I'm ready, I'll just start the retrieval. So it's automatically found through gossip site the deal. So right now I'm adding funds to a payment channel. So which we just need to wait a little bit for the transaction, but this is all on mainnet. So it's been getting more and more stable, which is really fun. And so the way this works is essentially content can be dispatched and kind of replicated across different nodes. And essentially, what you have through the JavaScript client is an RPC. And then the RPC allows you to kind of pre-fetch the data that you want, so it's available in the gateway that you're using ahead of time. So for example, I can describe and say, this is kind of the schema. Right now we're using selectors, but we can imagine more advanced ways. And so essentially the WebSocket RPC is giving me kind of those events and telling me, what's going on with my transactions. And when it's available, I can just kind of fetch it through via HTTP. So when this is done, adding the funds, it will automatically kind of check what's in that transaction, and then I'll be able to retrieve all the content through HTTP. So should be maybe 10 to 20 more seconds. So I'm kind of killing time right now. But we're actually working on ways to we've built some prototypes, but it's not really integrated with the controllable through the JavaScript client yet, but for ways to preload funds on the payment channel so that we don't actually need to wait. If you know ahead of time, for example, that you're going to be retrieving from a specific peer, a specific gateway, it's useful so you can just do that. But right now it's not trying to figure out the best UX for this, basically, because I mean, it's nice to enable it, but the idea is that it's simple for people to use and makes sense for when you're building an app. So we're actually kind of have like a little mini internal hackathon over the next few days and probably through the weekend to play around with this, client and building some more apps and figuring out, okay, when you don't think about all this stuff and you just want to build an app, how can I actually use this stuff to be productive and stuff? So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So yeah, it's still working. Still just waiting for the transaction to.
So you see it's on mainnet. Like, is this CID now being pulled from the nodes that like the other gateway that you uploaded before?
Yeah.
Or could it also pull from a storage miner that has the same data?
So right now it's since there's no storage deal for this content, I'm just caching it. So it's only pulling it from a Myel node basically. Yeah. But we also support. So this is probably, it's not in the interface right now, but you could have a field below where you could paste the storage miner storage miner ID and retrieve it directly from it. The thing that we don't really have right now is the storage part of it. So basically what's missing is in this SDK is how do we integrate the part where when I'm caching this transaction, it gets integrated into a storage deal. So we're kind of looking at solutions to integrate with an aggregator or figure out what makes the most sense, because we don't really want users to run large infrastructures, and these nodes are pretty minimal right now. Like I'm running this effortlessly. It's oh, here we go. So now it's transferring, sending funds. Great. So here we go, and it's finished. So now we have the data is on the gateway. And so if I want, I can resolve each of them and look and, okay, my gateway is here, my black hole username, and the cat is still here. So this is now retrieved on my local gateway, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is kind of what we're working on.
Super cool. And you paid real FIL, right? Like you said, this is mainnet.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, it's tiny transactions, so you can do a lot of them. But yeah, it's real FIL. We can look on FIL scan and everything.
It's fun. Well, I'll ask to post that link on the channel, and let's just move to the next demo. Thank you so much, Thomas. Adin, I see that you showed your video, so I'm assuming you are getting ready.
Yeah. Let me just share the other screen where I have things a little more set up.
Go for it.
Okay. So overall, there have been some changes, and in IPFS v0.9 that make walking through the DHT like way faster. And so we're just gonna like show a little bit of how that might work. If you guys have used IPFS before, this may seem familiar or not. We're gonna generate an IPFS key. Oh, oops, I don't need a name there. And okay, there's the IPNS key, it's been published. And I should be able to go to a gateway and download the content, and there it is. This used to take, way longer, like 30 plus seconds. It is now under 1. Similarly, we have this capability for batching up DHT operations together. So if I take a look at a node we have running, it rebooted recently, so I can't show exactly that, but it recently did 32 million puts in about an hour and a half, or almost 2 hours. So that's like 400 microseconds per provide, as opposed to like 30 seconds or something. And yeah, so overall, this like much faster, and this is totally doable with oh, okay. All right, I'll deal with you later. This is totally doable with a large machine, or with basically no matter how much data you want to put into the DHT, you can do it effectively, because the DHT is small in the sense that tens of thousands of nodes is still small. Basically anything under like, millions of nodes is small, and even then that's probably still small as long as they're stable and you don't have to learn about them very frequently, right?
I think you have been like on this project for such a long time that I think it will be very good to like just unpack like how did he get fast, like what were the tricks pulled, because I think the group can
I think this is probably a little bit, you guys might, thanks for pulling me back a bit. I think there are two main thrusts here. One is you guys have seen from the other groups that have been working on like building content routing systems, is that if they're small, then everything is O of 1 lookup times, because you're like, oh, I'll just go and find the data exactly where it is. I don't have to do a lookup or a crawl and any of that business. It's just that those numbers, like, they don't have to be like 10 or 20. The IPFS public DHT is like 20,000 servers. Even if it's scaled up to 100,000 servers, keeping the amount of keeping the memory, right, or storing it on disk for where 100,000 peers live is like 0 compared to, I don't know, sending a file to someone. And so if you build your client to take advantage of that and to learn about the network and keep that data over time, then instead of doing the memory efficient thing, which is you use logarithmic number of hops to do a Kademlia lookup, so that's 3 round trips. Just like, well, why don't I learn more about my network, use a little more RAM, and now everything is one lookup. And then the second part of this is, if you have 30 million records, right, and you're trying to put it into a cluster of a network of 10,000 nodes, you have no reason to be doing 30 million queries, because there are at most 10,000 nodes to talk to, right? So if you batch everything up correctly, then you can just sort of send all the records to everybody who needs a record, and you're done. And so I guess my takeaway here would be, if you want to build a system that is scalable and resilient, which Kademlia has nice properties there, you can do that. You don't have to worry so much about latency, lookup hops, any of that, because those are all parameters your client can control. And yeah, that's the overview there.
Yeah. What happens if the client is a mobile phone and it joins the network temporarily and then it leaves the network? So it just wants to join, retrieve the content, and then go. So, I mean, this is if that's what we're designing for.
I mean, so you're not going to be a server because you're useless to everyone. So like that's like a pre-starter. You're just a client. And with cases around like some mobile devices, okay, so maybe you get to choose, right? I can either delegate my query to someone who knows more about the network than me, right? And use that to speed up my query. Or I can just take the 3 hops, and that's okay, right? Like those are the choices I get to make. Now, something that we can do is, this is like sort of experimental and recently rolled out, but this is a client op setting right now. If it becomes a server setting, then everybody gets 1 hop, including the mobile phones, because that means that no matter who I talk to on my first hop, I will know who the second, everything will be 2 hops. No matter who I talk to on the first hop, I will know who has my data, and then I'll go ask them. So yeah, I guess at most 2 hops for a mobile phone, or you can, ask someone to do the query for you.
Okay, and that would mean, I guess, we'd need a payment broker for that to work, because that would mean each client would have to have a payment channel with each gateway. So that would mean, say, each client have 10,000 payment channels set up to talk to 10,000 gateways. Yeah,
maybe, right?
Yeah.
Or you can do, again, you get to choose your trade-offs, right? You want performance, and you can trade off against some of centralization or trust, where you say, okay, fine, we'll do a hub and spoke thing. I'll just choose the guy I talk to and I'll delegate through them, and that's fine. I could even choose to talk to somebody else, and I have a payment channel with the one gateway, and the gateways have payment channels with all the other gateways, and so I don't have to pay them directly. I just pay them through an intermediary. I mean, those are all sort of the tunable parameters based on use case.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you for the demo, Dean. This is exciting stuff, because ultimately it's like about turning knobs and giving options and preserving ultimately the distributed nature of the protocol, right? Because if people want to fall back to just the standard Kademlia, they can still, and there is nothing that another node can do to stop you from doing that. So now we have a bunch of minutes left, like almost 20. We have some questions on Slack already, but maybe like just if people want to bring questions up to any of the demos, now will be a good time. Or if the folks that get the demos want to answer the questions they got live, that's also a good time. All right, everyone is feeling a little bit shy, so I'll let like people answer the questions on Slack. And yeah, like so before we close up today, I'll just say that thank you so much for the feedback on the Slack channel about organizing information. So one of the things that I will be working on is really, I already have a document that basically categorizes the multiple types of pieces that ultimately compose with a full retrieval market. And so I've been like drafting like the explanations and like the requirements for each. And so I will be translating that into a GitHub repo that then I will share with everyone and invite everyone to contribute as well, so that we build not only like a shared language, a shared understanding about like what each PC is for, but ultimately really we create a channel to communicate with the rest of the ecosystem, right? Because it's going to be an opportunity for everyone to kind of like follow the multiple developments and all the progress that is being made by this group and understand like who is pushing on what. And potentially like we can identify if there is a gap or like a piece that still needs to be built that either the group or even more people that join can take on. So I expect to have something to show way before the next demo day. So like I'll share it on Slack and invite everyone. But yeah, like if there is no more questions, I guess we can call it a day here. I'll be faster this time on sharing the recording and then share with everyone that, well, either could not make it on time or just could not make it at all. And then folks can follow async. Sounds good. All right. Thank you for the demos. Awesome work. And yeah, like again, keep reporting your progress. And if you are blocked with something, so far it seems like for the last couple of weeks, people have been just like smooth sailing. That's great. But like if there is anything, either design session, like a potential bug or feature request or documentation, just well, the sooner you can like raise that to us before there's actually a hard blocker, the better, because then we can find a solution. Okay, folks, take care. Enjoy the rest of your morning, day, evening, night. Thank you so much for joining this time.